It's day 25 of the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge, and today we're going to start making some stabilized approaches. Welcome to the Safer Pilot Challenge. Hey everyone, Jason Schappert here, MzeroA Online Ground School. Welcome into day 25 of the 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge. The finish line is in sight. Check in down below. You are 25 for 25, and while you check in, I need you to answer the following question. What's a stabilized approach to you? What makes a stabilized approach? We spend so much time sharing. You've seen my entire series on the secret to perfect landings. Some of you will even reply with a quote from there that a perfect landing, right, starts with a perfect traffic pattern. Maybe use a phrase like airspeed is king. These phrases that we use, but I want to phrase it differently today. What makes a stabilized approach? We know the byproduct of a stabilized approach is usually a pretty good landing. But when you are focused on establishing and maintaining a stabilized approach and landing, well, the real outcome I'm after, it's a great way to avoid loss of control during the landing phase. A stabilized approach is one in which the pilot establishes and maintains that constant angle, that constant glide path towards a predetermined point on the landing runway. And it's based on your judgment. It's based on a lot of visual cues as well. The VASI and PAPI, are they steady? Well, if you're looking to land on 1,000-foot marks, right, they could be nice and steady for you there. Are you maintaining that constant final descent airspeed and aircraft configuration? Is the aircraft set up properly for that matter? How is that glide path? Are you using a 3-to-1 for that optimum glide path? What does that mean? That's a descent ratio. It means for every 3 nautical miles flown over the ground, the aircraft should descend about 1,000 feet. You see that flight path that simulates a 3-degree glide slope is what it actually does. Then there's the aspect of it, I'm sure some of you will mention this in the comments, of energy management. Am I managing the aircraft's kinetic energy, that's my speed or my velocity, with my potential energy, my altitude, coming on down? Do I have too much energy? Show of hands, who's ever had too much energy on landing? I mean the aircraft's energy. High approaches. What does a high approach result in? High approach speeds, landing long. I know you've never overshot a runway or had a off-runway excursion before, but maybe you've had some, I like to call them high energy approaches, might be the better phrase to use. Now, hopefully you've never had a too little energy approach. I'm low, I'm dragging it in, you'll hear people say. Using excessive power, you could undershoot the runway, or more seriously, stall or spin the airplane. That's what we're really trying to avoid. So let's talk about the stabilized approach here. It's a theme, this 31-day Safer Pilot Challenge, of staying ahead of the airplane. Is the throttle set? Are the flaps where I need them? Is my gear down and locked? 3 green, checked 3 times, confirmed. Fuel selector on the fullest tank or both. Avionics queued up. This sounds a little bit funny, but having tower frequency ready, knowing that approach is going to pass you off. After that, having ground ready, knowing after that beautiful stabilized approach to beautiful landing, it's ground time next. And speaking of ATC, there can be some ATC pitfalls that we can encounter. 23 Mike Zulu, I need to keep your speed up. You're number 1 for the runway, clear to land. Keep your speed up, direct to the numbers. No, I need you to do some vectors for spacing. Give me a left 360, give me a right 360. Hey, I know we're using runway 5, we're switching over to runway 23. If you have not heard any of those phrases, that will happen to you, especially the maximum forward speed, direct to the numbers, keep your speed up phrases. When you fly little airplanes, that's just inevitable. That's going to happen. And you as the pilot in command have to decide, okay, I can keep my speed up, not as much as possible for this airplane, but as much as practical. And ATC will use the phrase, keep your speed up as much as practical. Practical for you and your skill set, not what's possible for the airplane. Don't take it to a knot from VNE and hold it there. That's not what they're asking. What you are capable of doing. And if you're not comfortable, if you're a student pilot, just say, hey, unable, I'm just a student pilot. I need to focus on making this landing my best, not if there's a spacing issue, make someone else go around. I'll go around, whatever it takes. I'm good at go-arounds, but don't make me rush it direct to those numbers there. And that's just a towered field. You get to some of these uncontrolled, pilot-controlled fields, and you get people that'll cut you off in the pattern, people making right traffic when they should make left traffic. Sometimes it feels like the Wild West out there. You need to always be alert, and you need to, more importantly, as pilots, we need to put our egos aside sometime and say, you know what, I'm going around. You know what, you take the runway. I don't need it that bad. Clearly you need that runway more than me. I'll go around. There have been days, and this has happened in the past few years even for me. There have been times where I'm looking to fly into an airport and I hear like 7 people in the pattern. It is the Wild West. No one knows what anyone's doing. This is towered field and uncontrolled fields sometimes. And I'll just say, I'm listening, I go, you know what, I'm 15 miles away. I'm just gonna sightsee out here for a bit, and when you all figure it out, then I'll come in. And I've done that before because I don't need to be one more in there. I know I can follow all the rules coming in, but is everybody else following the rules? Because in those crazy situations, the task saturation is already hard enough in the aircraft. Don't add other aircraft to it, where you're doing just so much so quickly. You need to recognize the key tasks, and most importantly, back to that putting the ego aside, you need to know your own abilities. What are my abilities? What are the abilities of my crew? Because we can practice what we learned in an earlier video in this series of some crew resource management. The main focus of this whole series, but of this video in particular, is you will not, and I want to confess that and manifest that over your life, you will not become a statistic. Did you know that on average, there is one fatal accident that is somehow related to loss of control every 4 days? Let me tell you something. Go around if something's not right. If you don't like the way something looks, go around. Choosing to continue an unstabilized approach, right? Oh, I can make it up. Oh, I can fix this. If you find yourself having these thoughts of, I can fix it, I can save it, whatever it is, you need to go around. Maybe it's just poor drift correction on base and you blow through, you overshoot or undershoot that turn to final. Flat, skidding turns, those sort of things. Let me share with you some tips for really staying stable, as we'll call it here. Estimate the appropriate descent rate in feet per minute to maintain that 3-degree glide path. You can do that by multiplying your ground speed in knots by 5. An easier tip is, hey, Vassie and Pappy are there to help you. Use them. If there is an actual approach, I can't tell you how many times I've been visual and I'll still tune up the ILS or GPS approach just to help me on my way down. All modern GPSs now have an actual visual approach that you could follow just for a little bit of help. Speaking of a little bit of help, don't forget about the poor man's autopilot. That is trim, utilizing trim. You should be flying that airplane with 2 fingers, honestly. You also need to, and this is straight from the Airplane Flying Handbook, devote your full attention towards outside references. It's from the Airplane Flying Handbook, straight from the FAA. So let's talk here. When should you decide to go around? Well, realistically, at any point, you can go around. You can go around in the downwind, by the way, if you don't like it. But let me tell you something. If you're at or below 500 feet, I'm in VFR conditions, this approach isn't stable, I'm going around. If I'm IFR, I'm at 1,000 feet and I feel unstable, I'm going around. If the runway obviously becomes out of service, there's traffic, whatever, wind shear, wake turbulence, I'm going around. Anytime I feel safety is compromised, I'm going around. And here's a truth that you need to just add to your flight bag of things. Don't second guess yourself. When you make a decision to go around, you stick with it. I can show you NTSB reports. They started to go around, realize, oh, the deer cleared the runway, I'm gonna try it again now. And they do this big parabolic arc and end up causing an accident with that. So what are some points where I should go around? In addition to what we just listed, too high, too fast, too low, too slow. I overshot final. My flaps aren't configured properly. You see, when you go around, you need to follow the old maxim of aviate, navigate, communicate. Aviate. I have to arrest this descent. I have to stop the descent. Apply power, right? Get that climb started here, then configure the airplane for that climb, or even just for level flight for a moment while you get it all together. Then you can navigate. Get the airplane under control. Then, so I'm VFR. I'm gonna fly that runway threshold. I'm gonna then climb to pattern altitude. Then I'm gonna maneuver and let ATC know. That's the communicate part. IFR, same thing. Fly my missed approach and then do the C, right? Aviate, navigate, communicate, call ATC, broadcast on the CTAF, whatever that may be. You see, I, and you should be as well, I plan for a go-around on every approach. Any good CFII will tell you, hey, every instrument approach, you brief that missed approach and you plan for it because it could happen. And just don't second guess yourself. When you make a decision to go around, you stick with it. Lastly, manage the distractions. We've talked a lot about a sterile cockpit, departure, approach, landing segments while maneuvering as well. Stick to your rules as well. Hey, maybe you have a great go-around story that you would be so humble to share down in the comments below. I would love to read them. Do check in down below as well. Again, if you're loving this series, you're going to love the online ground school. Head over to MzeroA to check it out. Private, instrument, commercial, fundamentals of instructing as well in there for you to check out. Have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day. And most importantly, remember, a good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you. Hey everyone, one of our missions here at MzeroA is to help you make flight training more affordable. And I'm sure you felt the impact of rising prices, and we just wanted you to know that we're all in this together. We've held the same pricing for more than 10 years, which is truly unheard of. But like you, we're also feeling the effect of rising costs. So for the first time, our courses will increase in price on February 1st, 2023. However, I don't want you to pay more. So we're setting it up so you can lock in the current price by becoming a subscriber right now. Existing MzeroA members, you're going to keep your current prices for as long as you keep that subscription, and as long as that's maintained. If you're in a trial, head over now to MzeroA.com and click on the store to become a member now. And thank you so much for trusting MzeroA. We are truly so grateful for you and hope you have just a blessed, abundant, amazing day.